Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the session today. And we have a very good amount of participants, and we are good to start. So let me start with a brief introduction of 7Cs. Most of you would already know 7Cs is one of the oldest system integrated in UAE region with almost 38 years of experience and with a lot of technical and sales team who throughout the region we sell solutions and as well as the different products. Coming to myself, my name is Saieesh Gopu, and I'm a cloud architect from Microsoft team within 7Cs. And I majorly work on solutions on cloud for all 7Cs customers. And today we are here to speak about one of the most important, or I would say in the current market situations, one of the most efficient solution, which is delivering Windows experience via the cloud. So we'll start off with the presentation, and I hope you'll have a very good information takeout after the session. And also, if you have any questions about the presentation or about the solution, you can always put it in the chat, and our hosts will respond to you. So let's start with the webinar. So what is this delivering Windows experience via the cloud? Why we speak about it? What is the importance of it? Why we emphasize that this is a solution which is required in today's world? So we majorly focus on, if you see, one of the key requirement for every organization is the needs of its user computing, or it is the needs of their resources. So what are those needs? One of the key thing which we are seeing in the past 1.5 years is the distributed employees workforce. If you see, most of the employees are distributed across most of the regions, and a lot of people are working from home and working from home countries. And this has become one of the huge requirement for every organization to give a solution which provides their users to access the company resources from wherever they want. The second most important thing is the security and regulation is one of the other need of the hour when organizations prepare a solution for their end users. So the requirement is to make sure the data is secure and it is as per the regulations. This is another evolving need of today's world. And the elastic workforce. Since the pandemic, a lot of companies have started acquiring mergers and short-term and seasonal offerings of services. All these things have become one of the most important need of the hour. And a lot of companies are looking after solutions which can get deployed sooner, faster, and expand it on the fly. Then at last is the specialized workloads. One of the key factor most of the organizations are looking at is their own business applications, which are developed by themselves. And these applications, they want to give access to their resources to whoever are sitting from different locations, and making sure these applications are compatible with any platform. So these are the evolving needs of the today's world where a solution is required. Now, we discussed on the needs of every organization or resources. Now, what are the challenges what IT faces always? First and the foremost is the employee experience. Irrespective of what kind of situation employee is, IT always tries to provide a best experience solution, because end of the day, the business users should not have trouble accessing the resources and working on the in the environment. So IT always targets to give the best experience to their employees, Then along with that, the data security and compliance, which is the second most important factor. Although users doesn't know what is the importance, because end of the day, business users are more targeted to take the business to their customers, but it is IT's responsibility all the time to make sure the data is secured and it is always in compliance with the organization needs. And the third challenge is always with the VPN and data center capacity and performance issues. So when since the pandemic, one of the issue everybody is facing is people are working from everywhere, from home countries, from remote locations. And this has become a very huge issue for the IT to provide access to the resources secure manner. So that is where they start investing on VPN and data center capacity improvements and all. And the last one, which is the most important part, is the budgets and the right skill set. Earlier, every organization used to see IT as a cost center. But since the pandemic, everybody have realized that IT is the most important factor for every organization. And they started seeing IT as an innovation center, but that does not leave out the fact that every solution comes with a huge budget and skills and resource requirement. So these are the most common challenges which we have been listening and seeing with our customers when any solution comes to picture, especially the end user solutions. Now, how these all can be overcome and what is the best solution for the organizations to provide to their users? That is where Microsoft has introduced a solution which is end user experience via the cloud, which is also called as Windows 365 or a cloud VDI. Now, why this is better, or why it is important, or why it is required to any organization? Because the Windows from the cloud comes with a better desktop experience while compared with user's own desktop or a laptop. It has got a built-in intelligent security. It has got a cloud scale and agility where you can scale up your desktops as and when required and scale down as and when you don't need them. And the last and the most interesting option to every organization is the flexible pricing options. Today's world, everybody have got this one question. When IT takes a solution to the management, then the first question comes up: how much am I going to spend? And what is the ROI for this solution? And how am I getting benefited out of it? That's where you will have the best option is the flexible pricing option. Given the cloud adoption in this market, you would definitely see that having a flexible pricing option to a solution will always make the management to take the solution forward and get this deployed within the organization. Now, what kind of options are available from Microsoft to deliver this Windows experience via the cloud? The first one is a cloud PC, which we call it as Windows 365. And the other solution is cloud VDI, where organizations can migrate their virtual desktops and applications onto the cloud. And they can virtualize any application irrespective of on what operating system it is running currently. That is the beauty of the cloud VDI. Coming to the cloud PC is an instant provisioning desktop for every user, and the time taken to provide or provision this cloud PC is close to minutes. And that is where the best thing comes into picture, where IT doesn't need to run around the procurement to get the devices delivered and given to the users and interim provide a temporary device. These and all are the most complicated factors for IT always whenever there are new joinees coming into picture. So that is where the cloud VDI, which is Windows experience via the cloud, helps every organization to provide the best experience to the users, at the same time securely provide the data to the users. Now, just in brief, what are these two solutions? The cloud-based Windows 365 is a complete SaaS-based service which is hosted by Microsoft, and all the organizations has to do is buy the license, then provision the desktop and assign the desktop to the user. And Cloud VDI is a solution where the complete virtual desktop, the virtualization layer, everything is hosted on cloud, compared with the traditional desktop solution, which is hosted fully on-premise, where the compute has to be taken care of, publishing, security, and the virtualization layer and the management layer has to be taken care of fully by the end user. So that is where the cloud solutions of VDI and Windows 365 are more prominent and more easier to use and more flexible for IT to provision things. Now, everybody has got the same question. When we already have a virtual desktop on-premise, or when we have already an existing solution, why would we migrate to a cloud solution, or why would we go to a desktop experience on the cloud? Since the pandemic, everybody have seen the importance of the cloud and how it has played a crucial role in every organization's needs. And that is where we present to you today the comparison of what a traditional cloud solution, traditional VDS solution looks like, and who is responsible for what, and which solution suits better. If you see in the detailed comparison, if you see the traditional solution of RDS, Citrix, or VMware, where all the components are taken care by the customer only, right, starting from identity till the physical data center. Now, this is one of a huge cost factor which IT has started considering since the pandemic, because the workforce has become remote. This services provision to the end users has become dynamic, and people started working from every part of the world, and IT has come into a situation where they have to make sure the services are always available to the end users. And that is where IT has started thriving in getting better solutions, adopting cloud, and giving the solutions to the business. Because end of the day, IT is now considered as an innovation center rather than a cost center. And organizations always are looking for IT to help them improve their business. Now, given that fact, now if you see, if you want to host RDS, Citrix, or VMware on Azure as an infrastructure as a service, you definitely get a little flexibility on your physical host and physical network and physical data center. But when it comes to the virtualization control plane and other components are still responsibility of the customer. That is where we, as a partners, we emphasize our customers to go with the virtual desktop solution onto the Azure fully, including the virtualization control plane hosted on the individual VDI provider, whether it can be Citrix, it can be VMware, it can be Azure Virtual Desktop itself. In this, the advantage is that you're least bothered about your physical data center, the hosts where your desktops are hosted, and including your virtualization control plane, which requires an amount of servers which controls your desktop provisioning to your users. Now, the better option more, which Microsoft has introduced, is the Windows 365, which is as good as your Office 365 or any other SaaS-based service, because excluding the identity and the end user device, everything is maintained by Microsoft. It can be your operating system, it can be the configuration, it can be the virtualization control plane, the network controls. Everything is maintained and managed by Microsoft with their SLA, again, with the 99.994% of uptime SLA. And the good thing about this is the provisioning is very faster comparing with any other solution. If you take RDS, Citrix, VMware on-premise, you have to procure the hardware, you have to procure the licenses of Citrix, VMware, then deploy the servers, deploy a golden image, then configure it, provision to your users. But when it comes to Windows 365, these all headache is taken away, and Microsoft has taken up that responsibility to maintain and provision all these services. That is where the cloud, Windows experience via the cloud has been one of the huge requirement nowadays, where for an example, an organization is hiring a team of people to work on a project on a temporary basis. Now, buying a laptop or a desktop to that particular temporary team would definitely be a huge cost comparing with the desktop on the cloud, because desktop on the cloud will be completely consumption basis or a subscription basis, and you can remove the license and assign it to someone else once the project is over. So the return of investment on this kind of model is very faster comparing with the traditional way of procuring and provisioning the resources to the end users. Now, the biggest question always comes, how secure is this solution, or how do I see Windows 365 is more secure? Why not the traditional Citrix VMware, which I deployed on-premise, is more secure? That is where Microsoft has taken things a little more serious, and they have embedded their complete security system into the Windows experience. Their complete Microsoft 365 security services are embedded, where a conditional access, MFA, and RBAC can be integrated into the Windows 365 or Azure Virtual Desktop with Citrix VMware. And the beauty of this is you don't need to deploy any additional servers or resources on-premise or somewhere else. These are some of the resources which are already available and being utilized by most of the organizations, and this can be extended directly onto the Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. Then comes your Azure Virtual Desktop publishing part, which is completely maintained by Microsoft, and any resource required for publishing this solution is completely maintained by Microsoft. The authentication is done via the Azure Active Directory. You can join your machines directly to Azure AD rather than having a site-to-site VPN established and join your devices to on-premise domain controller, which is one of the key factors for every virtual desktop solution, logging into the device using the domain control account. Then, given the fact that it is hosted on Azure, there are more than 90 compliance offerings, and there are 3,500 global cybersecurity experts who are always working on the Azure to make it more secure. And a daily ratio of 6.5 trillion global signals are being fed into the security services of Microsoft, which is enabling Microsoft to secure their services more and more at a daily rate. And along with that, there is a $1 billion annual cybersecurity investment which is made by Microsoft to make sure their solutions or the resources hosted on their cloud is fully secured. Now, this is the complete details of the Windows experience via the cloud, the options, everything. Now, the question comes to every organization, every IT, is how do I select the right solution for my organization? What makes me think that whether Windows 365 is a right fit for my organization, or Azure Virtual Desktop, or Citrix with Azure Virtual Desktop, or VMware with Azure Virtual Desktop? Which solution fits in my organization, fits for requirement, fits for my budget? This is one of the a question which IT always asks themselves. That is where we show this comparison to you, which helps every organization to decide what is the right solution for them. And that is where 7Cs also, as one of the system integrator, helps their customers to assess, understand the business requirement, what are the IT challenges, what are the ideas of IT which they are willing to contribute for the business. And that's where 7Cs will help customer to convert this idea into a solution which in return boosts your business from an IT angle point of view. Now, selecting the right solution, as I mentioned, Windows 365 is a complete SaaS-based solution. You have a personalized Windows 365 cloud PC for every user, a simple turnkey to buy and deploy solution, predictable cost per user per month pricing, easily scalable compute and storage, which is one of another fact that IT always struggles with, is that if a user complains that the hardware is not sufficient and that they need to upgrade the hardware, then they have to procure, get it installed and test it and then give it to the user. Given the Windows 365 deployed on the cloud, the scalability of compute and storage is instant, easier, and it is at a click of a button. And there is no VDI experience or skills required in order to deploy Windows 365 because it is completely maintained by Microsoft. All you have to do is buy the licenses, then put the policies which you want to restrict or which you want to enforce onto the user from a security and a compliance point of view, and that's it. Assign the desktop to the user, and the desktop is fully ready for the user to use it. Now, the second solution, which is the Azure Virtual Desktop, which is the Microsoft's own virtualized solution for the desktops and applications. This also, again, is completely hosted on cloud. The control plane is maintained by Microsoft. The hardware is maintained by Microsoft. The storage and network resources are hosted by Microsoft, configured by the customer. It has got a flexibility and control with the customer, wherein the image of the desktop can be completely maintained by the customer as per their governance needs. Then it can be deployed as a multi-session Windows virtual machines, wherein the Windows 365 is a personally dedicated machine. In Azure Virtual Desktop, you have both the options. You can deploy a dedicated machine for individual user, or you can deploy a multi-session Windows virtual machine as well. Then the data residency and geo requirements can be completely adhered as per the organization, because the Azure Virtual Desktop solution has made available across all the regions and almost all data centers. Coming to the Windows 365, since it has been recently launched, it is not made available in all the data centers across the world, but the Azure Virtual Desktop, it is made available across the world. And in UAE, yes, you can definitely deploy, and we have done this deployment in the past with our customers. And you can do remote app streaming, and you can also have a specialized GPU and HPC workloads when it comes to designing and I would say construction companies, where the designers handle a huge amount of graphic oriented applications. You can definitely deploy a dedicated machine for them, which is more concentrated on the GPU. And again, the scalable compute and storage is any which ways available on the Azure Virtual Desktop. And on the Azure Cloud, everything you can increase and decrease, and the consumption cost only will be billed to you. And one good thing, if you don't use this virtual desktop, the cost will not be billed to you. That is one of the good feature which is always available on the cloud. And at last, we always also have helped customers take the advantage of their existing Citrix or VMware workloads to be integrated with the Azure Virtual Desktop, wherein we migrate your Citrix or VMware VDI or redeploy them on Azure with the modern architecture. And we create a multi-cloud or hybrid architecture with a single control plane, wherein you don't need to worry about managing your Citrix on cloud and Citrix on premise, because it will be one single control plane where you will be managing where the desktops can be booted and how it will be assigned to your users. So here where we always emphasize to all customers in this region that 7Cs, given their experience, in the market, sorry for that. Given the experience in the market and the skill set what we withhold today, and with the experience of amount of solutions we have deployed in the market, we are always there to assist our customers in deploying these solutions, also adopting these solutions, and we also help our customers starting from assessing their environment, their need and their pain points, and designing the solution accordingly, selecting the right solution for their organization needs, and deploy and manage these solutions on behalf of the customer. So that's it for today on the webinar, and we will look after for your feedback, and also we will see if there are any queries from today's webinar, and we'll try to address those queries. Looks like we don't have any queries today, and we would like to say a goodbye today for the webinar, and you can always reach out to your account managers for any queries, or in case if you want to have a demo or a POC on this solution. And thank you so much for everybody today who have joined the session.